welcome again to Highly Questionable. What's the best thing on the show today, Bomani?
I mean, it's you not voting for Ken Griffey Jr. to go in the Hall of Fame. How dare you?
How could I do such a thing? Vamos, papi.
It's Gary Kubiak naming Peyton the starter because it is best for the Broncos or because he's scared to lose with him on the bench.
Yeah, we got the news today. The Broncos telling us that Gary Kubiak will make Peyton Manning their starter in the divisional round of the playoffs. Now, I don't know if it's better for the Broncos, but I think Gary Kubiak thinks that it's better for the Broncos. But I really think Gary Kubiak is not about to go out here and lose to Brock Osweiler. Like, if they've got a chance to go out and play a playoff game where you're going to be the one who gets skewered in the name of a loss, I don't think that guy is going to do it with Brock Osweiler, whether he should or not.
Real leadership always risks unpopularity, and this is the safest choice because it's the popular choice. It's the easiest choice. There's only one way Gary Kubiak gets criticized for his decision, and it's if he starts Brock Osweiler and Peyton Manning is on the bench and he loses with Brock Osweiler. Also, all other things being equal, if you think they're close to equal, you got to go with the guy you're paying the most.
By the way, Peyton Manning, 1 interception behind the league leader this year. Peyton Manning played like 9.5 games.
Now, I will show you how Peyton Manning received the news. Really? I'm starting? I can't believe it. Oh, boy. Oh, are you sure?
Oh. I think his verbal reaction was more in line with, yeah, that's what I thought.
Does it make sense that the Bucs fired Lovie Smith?
I mean, it's not fair or sane in any context unless you consider this. This is kind of what the Bucs do. They did it to Raheem Morris very quickly. They did it to Greg Schiano really quickly. They fired John Gruden with 3 years left on his contract. What they've done is expedite the process on how little patience people will have with their coaches. And keep in mind, every coach hired in 2014 who didn't make the playoffs has since been fired. There's a new timetable in the NFL. You get 2 years.
Yeah, the NBA, we've seen that where guys that have coached really good teams have wound up getting fired. Now, Tampa Bay, of course, was not a really good team. The only thing is we're hearing reports that in large part the Bucs got rid of Lovie because they didn't like the staff that he had put together. They didn't like the coordinators that he had hired. But then they never asked him to actually change those coordinators. Like, that was never in the plan for them. When they fired Greg Schiano after 2 years, that team had gotten worse between the first year and the second one. This team won 4 games more this year than they did last year. Nobody saw this coming.
And he had to inherit that Schiano mess, by the way. I'm not sure anybody could have fixed it much more than he did.
I will show you how Peyton Manning received the news of Lovie Smith getting fired. Really? They get fired? Woo! He had a pretty good season. Yeah. Oh, but he got fired. I can't believe that.
Knock it off. Shocked, stiff Peyton Manning is a joke that's run its course.
No, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't.
Do you believe Martavis Bryant when he says he's happy Big Ben called him out?
Yes, Ben Roethlisberger, who, by the way, has 7 interceptions in his last 4 games, said that Martavis Bryant needs to grow up. Now, hey, Bryant hasn't played so well recently, but I do have to say this for him. It's much better to get called out by your quarterback in that situation than not, because not getting called out means you're just not going to play. Like, you are going to have the chance to grow up. There's your positive if you're Martavis Bryant. That would be the reason to be okay with it.
He also said that he needs to toughen up, and you're not used to seeing this kind of criticism, but Bryant said he was fine with it. And Ben seems to have this kind of relationship with his receivers. Antonio Brown told me a great story. This offseason, he kept texting Ben back and texting him back, come on, let's talk. I'm sorry about what I did in the last couple of games wanting the ball more. I'm sorry. And Ben wouldn't return his phone calls. They ended up repairing it, but the relationship is a strong one, at least in part because it could survive the turbulence. If he could do it with Brown, he's grooming Bryant to do it as well.
You know what makes that relationship strong? Knowing that Ben Roethlisberger is going to be there longer than the rest of you. They're not cool with stuff like that, but what you about to do?
You know, everybody's taking the Steelers on this game because they think that the Bengals are not going to win. They haven't won a playoff game since 1990. Well, I got news for you. You know, the Bengals are playing good football. You know, they're going to surprise everybody.
Unless they're going to surprise everybody with healthy Andy Dalton, A.J. McCarron is going to be out there on the field.
Good football, relative term.
Who told you that about the Bengals?
A.J. McCarron starting?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Never mind then. Wait a second. I'll take back everything I said. I thought that Andy was back. Who do you put on your Hall of Fame ballot?
You can't make this joke when you don't have a. Nobody here has a. Your family had a Hall of Fame vote, and your son had to wipe his keister with it. Nobody here has got one of these.
You're too young to be using the word keister.
You're too old to be wiping yours with a vote.
Is Brian Billick right that you can't do Moneyball in the NFL the way the Browns are trying to?
All right, they are hiring. The Browns have hired Paul DePodesta. He is the Dodgers general manager. Baseball, that's not football, that's baseball. And he's an analytics guy, he's a numbers guy. Brian Billick is right in this respect. The numbers are very raw and difficult to digest in football. In baseball, you can isolate performance. A guy is in the batter's box and you can individualize his performance. Slugging percentage, on-base percentage. It's an individual sport masquerading as a team sport. Football, all the things are so combined that I think it makes it very hard to understand what it is that you're watching and measure it.
Yeah, speaking of understand, people don't really understand numbers well. They don't really know how to use numbers well. So you tell the public we're going into the analytics business, and my question is, what does that mean? Like, you say you're going to moneyball football. What exactly does that mean? Like, people take analytics as though it's the answer when in reality it's the beginning of a whole lot more questions. So they can try to do this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't mean an analytic approach doesn't work. It means that what the Browns did doesn't work, which, by the way, is a standing theme since 1999. Like, if the Browns do it, it ain't going to work.
It ain't the thing to do if the Browns are the ones doing it.
Yeah, how they going to be the ones that try to be smarter than the rest of the league? Like, I feel like them going into full-on math, they need to stop a little bit short of that. Perhaps long division is where they need to get into this. Then maybe 10, 15 years later, they'll know enough to do analytics.
Don't try and be smarter than everyone else. Try to be less incompetent than everyone else.
Brian Billick. Brian Billick. The name sounds familiar. Did he coach back in the 60s?
Oh, wow.
Why are we making him so old?
Yeah.
But you're right, though. He's the only guy whose Super Bowl ring can't get him another job. Everybody else gets other jobs because I work with Ray Lewis. Brian Billick's the only one who can't.
He worked with Hank Stram, was on his coaching staff.
Coming up next on my son's TV show, we talk to Vince Staples.
Hold on. Which too much were you doing, though?
And you got a huge smile on your face when you deliver it. Like, you don't seem to be
too much were you doing?
You don't seem too apologetic about the whole thing. You're laughing and you're smiling about the idea of it.
Joining us at the beach today is Vince Staples.
Hey, he's from Long Beach, and his debut album, Summertime '06, is out now, and he'll be continuing his North American tour starting in San Francisco on February 26th. Let's get to know him a little.
Vince, how would you describe your life before music? What would you say your childhood was like?
As far as childhood goes, I would say it was pretty consistent with every other child, you know. You got ups and downs, you get in a little bit of trouble. You try to stay out of as much as you can. Some people's worse than others, but it was good, man. You know, I wouldn't really change it for anything.
How did it come to be that Mom said you got to go, you got to leave the house?
Just doing too much. I had a severe case of doing too much at a real young age. And, you know, her being a good parent, you know, as all parents would, just try to figure out a better alternative for me. So she sent me to the South, which is kind of funny when you think about it. But, yeah, man, that kind of put me on the right path. I was in Atlanta for about 6 or 7 months. I went to high school with Cam Newton in his last year at Westlake.
Hold on. Which too much were you doing, though?
And you got a huge smile on your face when you deliver it. Like, you don't seem to be
too much were you doing?
You don't seem too apologetic about the whole thing. You're laughing and you're smiling about the idea of it.
It's like, when you know how you look back on something, it's just like, that was very stupid of me to do. I had a lot of phases. That phase was, I'm from Long Beach, California, so if you're familiar with the music of Snoop Dogg, that kind of directed our path along with other things, excuse me. So just, you know, getting into the gang stuff and the trouble stuff and all the things that, you know, kids fall victim to, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
If I give you some do-overs, what would you go back first and foremost? Even as you've said, you don't do regret, you're grateful to be where you are because the lessons were learned. What one thing would you like a do-over on?
If it was one thing I could have done over, I probably would have finished school. It got a little harder the older you got and the more things you had to run into, and, you know, I couldn't catch up. I got to the point that I got really good grades, went to Atlanta. They give half a credit per class. In California, you get 5 credits per class. Had 2 meaning to graduate. I had enough to graduate by the time I was in the 10th grade based on what the system was. Took my credits away, came back to California. I had nothing. They told me, you can't graduate on time, and when you turn 19, you're getting kicked out. So I just stopped going.
And then you entered gang life? Or how did that work? What can you tell us about that?
That was prior. Gang life is just, something that's a part of our community where we come from. If you think about history of black people and, Hispanic people in Los Angeles County or Southern California in general, that's one of the only things we have culturally and disputes from things that, had a positive message, whether you're talking about Ralph Coenga, Bunchy Carter, all these people that we know as political activists, which people don't know kind of sparked that whole identity of gang life. It's just part of our culture. And, with idle time and immaturity, which comes with being a child, you kind of fall into the wrong things, and especially with the wrong guidance, and things sort of get diluted the longer they've been separated from their origin. So it's just something that's already there, but if you have nothing better to do, you often find time to do the wrong things, and that's just kind of where that fell into play.
How did you extract yourself from that?
I don't think it's something that you extract yourself from. I think it's something that you move on from, for the simple fact that these things aren't based in crime or wrong or things like that. These things are based in being a part of a certain community. And the only way to get away from that community is to literally leave the community or try to better the community.
Well, were you looking for something to belong to?
Nah, it's literally family structure. This was here when my parents were here. This was here when my grandparents were here. And literally my mom had an interview with LA Times. She told them like that, because it's kind of a hard thing to understand if you haven't been there. She explained to them like it's literally just there. Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. It's like if there's a store on the street, some people walk in, some people don't, and some people never think of it. It's not necessarily something that comes from a sense of belonging, because you do belong here, you live here. You know what I mean? The gang is a product of the community, not a product of the people. Whether the people are there or not, there's still going to be these structures. There are Hispanic and Irish gangs that have been in Los Angeles since 1890s. You know what I mean? So there's really no way to kind of act like it's not here.
Clearly a bright dude. You've explained this very well, made people understand in a way perhaps they didn't. Is there any one situation that you found yourself in where you were like, okay, this is dumb, what I'm doing here because I'm following the wrong people, I got to get out of this?
I mean, when I was 15, one of my best friends named Jabbar Ben, he had got murdered when we were 15 by, a kid that was kind of older than us, and we were all friends. Like, we weren't friends. We know each other. And just looking around and watching nobody do anything and forget about it in like a week, 2 weeks, just because they weren't as close to him as I was or my friend group was, and literally watching everyone who was associated with me closely from, you have friends that, spend a night at your house, you know each other's moms, you know each other's dads and grandparents and things like that. Watching that incident kind of start a cycle where literally out of that friend group, me and one of my friends that just got out of jail, he got 44 years for conspiracy when we were in high school, and he was wrongly accused, and they had to let him out, pay him off and all the crazy things that we do. We just pretend that we don't in this country. Me and him are the only ones that are still here out of probably 10 to 20 people. We're the only ones that are still like alive or don't have life. And we all got good grades, we all play sports, we all, just regular kids, but I know that life is much bigger than what I can do or what any of us can do if we don't, help the next man or help the next person. So I just try to not make those things be for granted, because I feel like if I don't speak on it or just try to make the best out of the situation and let it die with, my friends who, because, being in jail for the rest of your life is being dead to me. Basically, that's why they put you there. And, being dead is a very real thing, especially when it comes to the young age. So I don't want all of that to be for nothing. And if I'm, one of the only ones that's left, I might as well try to, tell somebody about it or do something about it, because my parents and my grandparents and my family taught me a lot of things along the way.
Excellent conversation, Vin. Thanks for being on with us. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All this money bring you the finer things. Hey, slim thick with your cute, I will buy you a new bag. This broadcast from the Clevelander Hotel on beautiful South Beach, Miami. Time to play the game that is very ticklish. Do you question?
You give us topics and events, and we question them.
Yes. Yeah, get him. Get him.
Do you question letting your sibling try your hoverboard?
Okay, what we've got here is a situation where a brother decides to allow his sister to use his hoverboard.
These things are dangerous, man.
They also don't hover.
What's going to happen
Oh,
here?
I think you know what's going to happen here.
She doesn't have brakes?
Why are these things so difficult to use?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no. Oh. Whoa.
Wow. That went very poorly all around.
And I'm just curious, when was this video taken? Because that water does not look warm.
Those things have been exploding all over the place. There was a priest the other day suspended for using one under his robe during a mass.
I got to say, though, I don't feel like this is the smartest thing this young lady ever did. That's an L. Like, once that hoverboard hit the water, the L was already there. There's no reason for you to be wet and the hoverboard to be ruined. You need to let that sit in there and blame it on it did it by itself.
That's not the best fall I have seen. This is the best fall I have seen. Watch this.
Oh, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson on a pink hoverboard.
Oh, he looked really, like Mike Tyson's 50 years old. You know, like, whoo.
Ow, he reacted very poorly to falling on his back. We haven't seen him look like that since Buster Douglas.
By the way, he makes being broke look so opulent. Like, we always hear about how Mike Tyson needs more money. His need money is living a whole lot better than yours is.
Do you question whether this was a move that should break ankles?
Oh, we go out to Clippers and Trailblazers. Again, second time in the show, and we've got a Paul Pierce situation. And should it count if it comes against seniors? Let's see what we've got here.
Oh, no.
I heard the creaking from over here.
No. Oh, Paul Pierce.
No, that wasn't very fast. That was not very lubricated.
I think the most important part is that his ankles did not actually break. Like, at that point in life, the osteoporosis can have a very tricky effect, on your skeletal system. So the fact that he got up, like, look, man, that age falls down. You don't just take it for granted that he's going to pop right back up.
That was not an ankle breaking. That looked like a torso breaking.
Well, that's not the first time we have seen Paul Pierce getting crossover.
Let's see. What else do we have here?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This is not right, man. This is not fair what we
did it to him in slides. Oh.
That is not Paul Pierce. That guy's younger.
I got a feeling we're not going to get Paul Pierce to do no 5 good minutes with us on this television show anytime soon. That's because he'd still be laying on that dirt road.
Time to play the game that can feel its face. See or no?
You tell us what to watch on television tonight. We tell you if we're intrigued or not.
What you doing, old man?
On TNT, Lakers and Kings.
No, gracias. But we do have video of Rajon Rondo the other day. He was on the bench. He was not playing in the game. And Darren Williams is in the corner. And Rajon Rondo kicks him. And that's not really allowed. And that's illegal. Tries to kick him, kind of grazes him, and they just keep it moving. That's normal, I guess, in Rondo land. Bomani, are you intrigued?
I'm not intrigued, and let me tell you, Ernie, Chuck and them, this is when they earn their money, when they got y'all at work till 1 o'clock in the morning behind the Lakers and the Kings.
Poppy, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued because everybody's talking about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, he's about to retire. But let me tell you something. They got that point guard that is coming off the bench, Marcelo Huertas, a Latino player. He played the other day against Golden State. He played 19 minutes. He scored 9 points. And he had about 6 assists, so he's flying under the radar, Marcelo Huertas. After tonight, he'll be remembering the league like a hell of a point guard.
You just rounded up his 5 or 6 assists. You knew he only had 5 assists. You just trying to make this look as good as you can.
He's got 26 points in December, by the way.
Tomorrow morning in Poland, Siarko PBS Bank STS Sanok versus JKH GKS Jastrzębie.
Say that again. Go ahead and do it again. I'm just tempting you. Go ahead. Say it again. Do it again.
No, thank you.
Let's go out to a Polish goaltender making a fool of himself. Oh! Yes, that is crushing. That is exactly the reaction to have once you have done that. Like, what is that? He had no idea where he was. Wow. His team lost 3-0. That was one third of the goal scoring in that entire game. Bomani, are you intrigued?
Hey, if you could run that again, do they have a Zamboni in that league, or do they just run a mop over the ice? Look at that. Like, you can see, like, the snow buildup. Are they playing outdoors? Dang, that's some low-budget hockey. How do you get a goalie like that? Look at the money they spending on that ice.
Poppy, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued because I have big money on that hockey game, that Polish hockey game. You know, I'm telling you something. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, Juanito, way to go, buddy. That's the way to do it. Yeah, that's it, buddy. You took care of that goalie for us. Yeah, well, did you let his family go now? Well, I tell you one thing. I clean up. Juanito, you're the best. Take care.
Wow, they took it to a whole new level there with the whole kidnapping
An
thing.
abduction from the fake banana.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones, 4 to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio every day. Check it out. Thanks for watching.
Gracias. See you mañana.
You know, you got yellow, you got green, yellowish. You got nice color there, boy, I tell you. It also shines in the dark on my toilet seat.
Yes, my father does actually have a toilet seat that glows in the dark. That's true.